which were fairly interesting. So he's been in the Army for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's a musician, so it is a little bit different, not active combat, but he knows a lot of people that are in active combat, and he was deployed.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't think that he suffers from any PTSD, but he has witnessed PTSD pretty bad, blackouts and stuff like that.
Okay.
And but it mostly comes from members that have served in like a war zone. Obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
which makes sense. He says that it's not something that he thinks can be cured, so it's not like a disease that can be cured. It is a disability. I mean, true disabilities are not true disabilities, but disabilities are something that either can't be cured or it takes a very long time to take care of. So he does not think it can be cured, but it can be learned to deal with and to function with it. It does not have to be debilitating. You can learn what the triggers are. Some people it's fans, some people it's just machine noises, stuff like that. And it is the biggest problem for people is that it can rematerialize after a long time. So it can be gone for 5 years, and then all of a sudden you talk to somebody, you look at somebody, you see something, and all of a sudden it brings you straight back, and he describes it as you close your eyes and you can visualize it.
What does invisible illness disability mean to you? So obviously we're talking mostly about PTSD and military disabilities, but do you have any personal experience with it? I know you said in your responses on that you don't think you personally have PTSD. Are there other military disabilities that people don't really know about or discuss openly?
Well, the PTSD is the big one.
Yeah. Do you think that it's getting more prominent, or do you think it's just becoming more recognized?
Recognized.
More recognized. People are more open.
Well, let's see. As the Army's grown, there have been more deployments in the last 10, 15 years.
Sure.
So more people are going to be experiencing traumatic stress.
Do you think the percentage is the same? There's just more people because there's more deployed.
Well, because there's more deployed, there's more people.
Right.
Yeah.
So you shared with me a personal story through Messenger. Do you mind sharing that here?
What was that one?
Yeah, he blacked out.
Oh, yeah. I have a really close buddy.
Did you meet him in the Army?
Actually, we went to college together, and then there were actually 3 of us. We all went to college together. We all ended up back in the Army together, but he saw quite a few deployments, and because of that, he's suffered some PTSD.
And he still suffers?
Yeah.
Do you think it's getting better for him, or is he just getting able to... I mean, I'm sure you still see him.
Yeah.
Probably not as much as you'd like, but do you think it's getting easier for him, or do you think that he's just learning new ways to handle it, obviously, with knowing what his triggers are and...
Well, I know that he recently got out of the Army, and he's back with family.
That's good.
So his whole environment has changed
Okay.
in a positive manner.
Sure. Are you aware of whether he's dealing with it less now that he's with his family and stuff like that? Does he still have as many episodes? Would you say that they're episode prone, or do you think it's a constant battle?
I don't think he has the triggers nearby.
Okay. I know people talk about like ceiling fans and
But
loud noises.
He's also getting treatment also.
Okay. Is there medication that can be handled, do you know? Or is it mostly just patient treatment with therapists and psychiatrists?
Therapists, psychiatrists.
Are there different versions of PTSD, in your opinion?
I don't know.
You think that there are people that just have a constant battle with it, and then there are people that it kind of goes in waves where they deal with it at certain times of the year? Obviously, triggers are a big thing. So you think it's all trigger based? Not to pun, but what do you wish you could communicate with those around you about soldiers that come home with disabilities? obviously you being in the military for so long, you've been on quite a few deployments with a lot of different people.
I've been on one deployment, just to be clear.
Okay.
But you notice it in people, just being downrange. You just have to learn about PTSD because you're going to run into somebody, and if you don't know anything about PTSD, you're going to think they're just a big jerk.
Right. Do you think that it should be more widely taught about in school, like in health classes and stuff like that? And when you're enlisting, do you think that it should be a subject matter that's discussed?
Well, it is.
It is?
It is.
Good. Has it always been?
Well, it's become, like I said, it's become a lot more prominent. Yeah, recognized.
And it doesn't necessarily take you back all the way on your progress that you've made, but it does kind of.
Step back.
Yeah, it's like you have to put your training wheels back on for a little bit before you can take them off.
So I think PTSD is considered a mental illness. I think that would be pretty. I would line up with other mental illnesses.
Absolutely.
You can have periods of better and worse.
Right.
That would make sense.
It does, and PTSD is just as real as depression, anxiety. It's got a more specific group that deals with it. I know that other than military, sexual abuse survivors have PTSD. I know that child abuse, even people that have been attacked by dogs, they have PTSD issues. I mean, it's all car accidents, any traumatic event.
Tragic or traumatic, yeah. Can you get PTSD from something that's not physical, like losing someone, or does it have to be something that like you can physically remember?
That's a good question. I think it's more of like
I would say it's physical, but I feel like.
I think it's more of like an action. So it's not like necessarily physical, but I mean, losing someone is like
That's a different thing.
It's a different thing
like,
than watching somebody get shot and killed.
Yeah.
If you watch your family member get shot and killed,
well, that's totally.
That's
pretty related.
But I don't know if it can be. I mean, that's more of grief and.
Yeah, that's a total It's probably not PTSD because it's not like. I feel like also for PTSD, there has to be fear involved, right? Is that kind of? Would you say that?
Just like the fear of that you're not going to get out of it. Like,
I mean, like to cause for I keep saying whatever. Okay, for PTSD to cause or to have something cause PTSD, don't you need to? It feels like fear needs to be involved in the thing.
To like create it.
Yeah, so like if you think of all the examples we gave, there's always some kind of fear in that.
Well, like some examples are just like they suddenly just hit you, like the car accident or being attacked.
But it's still like a
perfectly
fearing
fine.
situation.
But the action that creates the PTSD is a fear.
Yeah, like
or like the triggers.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Triggers,
so like whether you were in
the
war
trigger,
or abused, all that has fear involved. Like you're afraid of getting in a car accident or something. I feel like, whereas just losing a family member doesn't necessarily have that physical fear.
I can see that.
Does it warrant being put on disability or,
I think it's up to the up to the kind of like I said last time, up to like kind of what the doctor would say.
Well, like is it up to the military to support them while they're dealing with?
I would
I think
say
so.
yeah.
I think VA should.
I mean, I don't know if they how well they do that or not.
Well, one of the articles that I linked for you guys, they were talking about it, and a lot of veterans are hesitant or unable to get help because they don't know that the resources exist. They don't know how well they work. They don't know the process of getting to them, and they don't trust the VA. They think that I can't remember exactly what it was. It was either like they think that this is going to be like a label that's stuck on them now for the rest of their life, or that the VA is going to pull something shady or like pull their funding, or like there's a lot of things that like I guess they fear the repercussions.
Right.
So.
Well, and for a lot of people that join the military, the emotional aspect is harder to deal with than the physical aspect. I mean, a lot of people go in brute force or like, oh, I'm gonna mess, I could do this, and then they come back with PTSD, and that's not something that they necessarily expected to have to deal with.
Even if they weren't hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Watching someone else die, or not to get.
until you actually.
Incredibly graphic, but I've heard horror stories of having to find body parts to try and ID a person. That, I mean,
Honestly, just spending time getting shot at would cause the amount of
Yeah.
emotional distress to cause PTSD.
Well, it's one of those things that you can't fully understand until you
No,
experience
for
it.
sure. Yeah,
And
it's
so
a beyond
it's-
words kind of.
Yeah, and so that's one of the hardest things for people that haven't experienced it. To help people that have experienced it is, how do you know exactly what they need when they can't voice it or express it themselves?
So I think a couple of the studies that I linked are talking about using MDMA to treat it, and they had some really good results. One of the studies is, gosh, it was like started in 2008 maybe. So that one was a long time ago, and it's had a lot of time to come to fruition. And there was another one where they were using psilocybin, the magic mushroom drug, and that one was also pretty helpful. And then I think we read in class that video games were used to
Yeah.
treat it as well. So
I've heard of that kind of stuff.
yeah.
This
So-
kind of just goes case by case.
I was gonna say, I've actually heard that like playing Call of Duty helps
Yeah.
cure it, not because of the action of playing, but because it almost normalizes the situations that they were put in.
It puts that stuff into a
The
positive light.
Right, and it can. It
desensitization.
Yeah, that's
desensitizes it, and when you remember it, you almost remember it more as a video game than you do
Yeah.
as a real life situation.
Because like now all those things, even though obviously Call of Duty isn't realistic in any way, but
Right.
it's the very basic same idea. You will think of that in a if you enjoy it.
Right.
You'll think like, oh, this is just something I like. I would guess. I mean, I'm not taking that from the reading. I'm just taking that from what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So the article that John, so the gentleman that I will be interviewing and has already answered a lot of our questions, is 10 ways to support a friend battling PTSD. And he says that just by having a social support member, like one person, can reduce the feelings of depression, guilt, loneliness, low self-esteem, stress, and social withdrawal, which is what a lot of homeless veterans are dealing from PTSD, and they didn't have that support, and so instead of asking for help, they just withdraw themselves, which gets them kicked out of their house, gets them divorced, and they have nowhere to go. They have no want or
And
need
that causes
to,
more things at that point. You know, that's
Mhm.
you're saying depression and stuff. It's a whole new thing that's caused by that.
right.
You lose your whole network of
Yeah.
support.